Hey guys, Andy from Backbone Adventures, ATV and Jeep Rental Company in Estes Park, Colorado. So I want to apologize in advance. This video might be a bit long-winded, so bear with me if you're interested in this kind of thing. But what I'm going to talk about is the value of an ATV or off-road outfitter. So that's the subject matter. So if it matters to you, if you're somebody who's against it, ATV riding, UTV riding, you might want to, this might be something you want to watch. If you're for it, this might be something you want to watch. If you're an avid, off-roader. So let's just start with, let's just tackle the hard part first. And I'm the bad guy. Everybody hates me. Everybody. For an OHV trail, and an OHV trail, OHV stands for off-highway vehicle. Now, in the United States, there's lots of national forest land, and on that national forest land are OHV, or some are called ORV, off-road vehicle or off-highway vehicle. That's what those two things stand for. Now, these trails and roads are specific for off-roading. That means they're available for dirt bike riders, ATV riders, UTV riders, Jeepers. It's for those off-highway vehicles that are made for off-roading. That's what these trails and roads are for. Now, of course, they use these roads for accessing forest fires. Some in some places, like trail system I'm on, Storm Mountain, that trail system actually leads to some private property that's way far back in there where nobody lives. Well, one mountain man guy lives back in there, pretty hardcore. But at any rate, those roads are for that as well. But they are deemed off-highway vehicles by the Forest Service for off-roading. That's what they're for. Now, everybody's welcome to use them. If you're a mountain biker, you're hiking, camping, whatever it might be, accessing that trail system so you can get to an area to climb on some rocks or whatever, access it for hunting, fishing, all these different recreation types. It's unlimited, really. You just need to stay on the trail. That's an important part. Unless, of course, you're hunting, you're off on foot, horseback, whatever. But at any rate, that's what these trails and roads are for. They're for off-roading and all these different uses. But the important part is it's the only area in which we can ride our unlicensed dirt bikes, ATVs, and UTVs, and some Jeeps that are really souped up and not meant for highway use. So that's what these trails are for. But people like me and that offer this, ATV rentals, and sometimes just regular owners of ATVs and side-by-sides are hated by many. They're hated by Jeepers, a lot of Jeepers, because people in Jeeps move a little bit slower. And they're taking their time out there. The Jeeps aren't meant to go fast on the trail. They're meant to crawl and stuff like that. We're hated by hikers, mountain bikers, people who are camping on trail, people who might actually use that trail to get to their property, hunters. We're hated by everyone. Why? Because our machines go fast. It's that simple. I know that sounds stupid to some of you, but that's the truth. That's why we're hated. We're hated because our machines go fast. Now, granted, there are people that ride these machines out there disrespectfully and go ripping by somebody who's hiking, which is not cool. You should slow down. If you see a horseback rider, you should come to a complete stop and turn off your motor. Don't wave your hands. Don't take your helmet off. Just sit there and let that horse go by so you don't spook the horse. It's common sense, respectful things. And there are plenty of people out there who don't do this sport the right way, who don't know those things. And I'll be perfectly honest, there's rental companies out there who don't teach those things. And there's companies out there who do teach those things, but still the customers don't listen. Because people are going to be people. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole no matter what somebody told you to do or asked you to do or what rules you've been given. Speed limit on most national forest trail systems, OHV trails, is 20 miles an hour. But that, some people are going to pay attention to that. Some people are not going to pay attention to that. So we are hated by most. And so that means there's always miniature uprisings all over the place. People, I see it here. I live in a place called Storm Mountain, and we live next to a trail system. A trail system's, I grew up here. I've been riding on a trail system since I first learned to ride when I was 6 years old. I'm 54. That trail had been there many, 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 many years before I got there. We're talking about a trail system that's been in existence since 1906, back when the mining roads were first created up here. And they have been off-highway vehicle style roads since, and will continue to be forever. And yet still, every year somebody moves up here, they buy a piece of property next to that trail system, and then they bitch and complain about that trail system being there. You bought the property there. What the hell are you bitching about? If you didn't like it, don't buy that property. Move. Go buy a different piece of property. Just don't buy that one. Or if you're there and you decide, you know what, I really don't dig this, then move. Go move somewhere else. Go back to the city, whatever it is. Or, you know what, go get a side-by-side and join in the fun. A Jeep, whatever it is you want to do. If you're not into that, move. It's there. It's not going away. And I got news for you. ATVing, especially UTVing, is getting more and more popular. It's going to continue to grow. It's not going to go away. You're not going to beat it. You just need, it's like when cell phones came out and some people were against them and all, it's radio or microwaves in your head and in your ear and everything else, going to give you cancer, all this stupid bullshit. Maybe there's truth to that. I don't know the scientific facts of all that, but guess what? We're all using cell phones now. Every last one of us. Eventually everybody got out of the way, and it just happened. This is what it is. It's not going to go away. So my point in making this video is that I do believe it's a responsibility for UTV riders out there to learn how to do it properly. Yes, we are hated by so many, but that can change through education and through, I think, something you can't teach, which is just being a good human being, respectful towards one another. But there's people out there that may not understand the sort of unspoken rules, and I think some of that responsibility falls on manufacturers of this type of equipment, of side-by-sides. It falls on power sports dealers who sell this equipment, and it falls on rental companies like myself. We, I think, have a responsibility to teach people how to do it safely and properly and respectfully towards other people. And unfortunately, from the top down, and when I say the top, I mean manufacturers, from the top down, it's not done in that way. If you go to a manufacturer's website, the first thing you see on their side-by-side page or whatever is a side-by-side ripping around a corner, throwing up a huge mound of dust because they're drifting a corner. They're showing that machine. What they're trying to show is they're trying to show what that machine is capable of. It's capable of going extremely fast, drifting corners, jumping, doing crazy stuff. It's made to go fast. It is a sport machine. And so that's how they're selling it. And I guess to some degree, rightfully so, for their pocketbooks, but it's not a very responsible thing to do. And that trickles down to the dealers who sell those machines. So their websites show these same pictures. And that's what draws people in. Those manufacturers, the dealers, they're all drawn in for that in a sport side-by-side. That's what they're seeing in their head. And then it trickles down into companies like myself, rental companies. And the customers we get coming in the door, they have those ideas in their head. Those ideas have been put in their head. So by the time they get to me, or by the time they buy a machine and own it themselves and get out on the trail, they have a few ideas in their head about what they want to experience in their new machine or their rental machine. They want to go fast. They want to drift around corners. They want to jump. They want to get crazy. They want to do what that machine was built to do by that manufacturing company and the way they've sold it. And therein lies the problem. So, how do we change that? How do we change that mindset? That's obviously going to be a very difficult thing. I will tell you one thing. We've recently gone back to Polaris, and there it is, one of my deciding factors on that was their new mindset in their marketing strategy. And specifically with their RZR 1000 XP. Now, there for a while, they were like every other company. It's all just pictures of machines ripping around corners, flinging up rocks and dirt and riding crazy as hell, right? But they got this new mindset that that's irresponsible riding. Most people who buy these machines are trail riding. They're riding on OHV trails, be it here in Colorado, Moab, Georgia, wherever it might be. They're trail riding. There's not a lot of us out there that are actually racing these things. There are a large number of people out there who are trying to do those things that they show in those pictures, but they end up rolling the machine, end up losing a limb, or getting seriously injured in some way, or dying. And that's an irresponsible way of selling the machine, in my opinion. Now, if you have each company, Polaris, Can-Am, and others, especially Can-Am and Polaris, they have different kinds of machines. They have, let's take Polaris for example. They have a Ranger. That's a work machine. That's a machine you see around a farm or a piece of property like mine where I'm gathering firewood or I'm doing work. I'm using that machine for work or for hunting. Then they have another machine, it's called the General. Now they have a few new ones for this year. They get the one called the Expedition, and we won't get into that. The General, which is a cross between a sport machine and that Ranger. So it can be used for work, but it can also be used for play. Suspension's a little bit better, so it works a little bit better for play type situations. So the performance is there. And then you get into their sport machines, which are now broken out into a couple of classifications. One is more trail, and I'm generalizing this because they have many different models in there, but one is more trail friendly, and the other is that picture of ripping around a corner, flinging up dust, riding through the dunes at 80 miles an hour, catching big air, or actual racing. People that know what they're doing, that can handle the machine like that. These are turboed machines that are incredibly fast. So do 0 to 60 in a matter of 3 seconds. Now, or faster, believe it or not. If you got behind the wheel of one of these things, you would definitely be shocked. They are wicked fast and powerful. Now, the point is there's a use for each one of those types of machines. And on OHV trail systems, that Polaris Pro R turbo 200 some odd horsepower machine is not needed on a trail system. So they're not marketing it that way anymore. And I think that's a responsible thing. Instead, they're marketing their premier machine, the machine they sell the most of, which is the RZR 1000 XP and XP4 four-seater. They're marketing it as a trail-friendly machine. They've geared it down a little bit so it can handle trails and rocky situations, mud, things like that, snow. And the pictures that they show and the videos they show are more about the experience of seeing the views and the wildlife and enjoying the trail system and being with their friends and family and stuff and having a good time. And just being responsible trail riders. And so it's safer. Now it's up for the other manufacturers to follow suit, and they need to. Even their TV commercials, which don't really air on major networks or anything like that, but if you're watching Supercross or something, some sort of a motor racing sport, those commercials will be on, and it's always the same commercial. It's the same. It shows the same thing, video version of their pictures, and it's irresponsible. Yamaha, for example, has their R-Max ripping through a trail system at a stupid pace that if a normal person went out and bought that machine and tried that shit, they're not going to survive. They're going to wreck. There's no way they could do it. There's some skill in that, I can tell you, because I've done this my whole life, and I watch that video and I'm like, wow, that's That's some tricky stuff. I see what this guy is doing. That requires skill for that and years of experience. I can do that, but I've been doing it forever. But most people can't do that and survive. They're going to wreck. Maybe they come out, they don't get hurt, but they're going to completely total their freaking machine and maybe injure one of their passengers. It's completely irresponsible and it's total bullshit. And these other manufacturers need to follow suit. And after that, the power sports dealers need to follow suit. And their salesmen need to follow suit. When a guy comes walking in and says what he's looking for in a machine, that salesman shouldn't be talking about, ripping and doing all this crazy shit. Help him set it up for the style of riding he's going to do. Teach him based on the style of riding he's going to do. Advise him that way. And that comes down to rental companies like myself. We have a responsibility as well. Now there's tons and tons and tons of rental companies all over the United States. Some of them operating on national forest OHV trails. Some of them operating in specific privately owned ride parks. And some of them are just equipment rental companies. And that's going to be the bulk of them right there. Where you can just go down to your local place that nearby anywhere where you live and rent a side-by-side, and you get a trailer and you haul it out to whatever private trail or public trail you want to, your own property, doesn't matter where you go, haul it to Moab, wherever, and go do your thing. And there's no training. It's just, here's the machine, here's the keys, go. And most rental companies operate that way. It's like, give me my money, here's the keys, see you back here at 5 o'clock next day, whatever it is, right? There's nothing really irresponsible with that. It's just you're offering a service there. You have, just like if you want to go down and rent a rototiller from Home Depot or your local rental place. You walk in there and you say what you want. I want a rototiller. That guy doesn't care what you're going to rototill. He doesn't care what dirt you're going to tear up. He just knows, okay, give me my money and here's a rototiller. Here's how you start the damn thing. See you back here at 4 o'clock or whatever. It's that simple. It's just a business, right? For me, I'm operating in an area where tourists are coming in. And they want to ride in this area on national forest trails, on OHV trails. They want to experience their public OHV trails because they might come from a state or an area where there are no OHV trails. There is no national forest. Yet it doesn't matter what state they come from, this is their national forest and they have a right to access it. Now, some of these people have disabilities. Like we do a thing with the Oscar Mike group. If you're not familiar with that, these are wounded combat vets that have lost limbs and other horrific injuries. And they can't access their national forest trail systems by any other means. They can't hike. They can't bike. They can't do any of that stuff. And in a lot of cases, they don't have the kind of money to be able to go out and buy one of these machines or a Jeep or something like that. And they don't personally own a truck or a 4x4 vehicle where they can get out there and experience it. There is no other way for them to do it. Yet they have a right to experience their national forest trail systems, just like anybody else. They just don't have the means. And that's the value of a company like mine. I don't sell that machine to somebody. It's a $35,000 machine. Not many people can afford that. Instead, I take that $35,000 machine and for $350 you can take it out. So people do, and that's what they want. And they want to go experience their national forest because they can't do it any other way. So that's the value of a rental company. Just so you know that, in case you're against it, now you understand that. And even if you're an owner of a machine and you hate rental companies, now you understand why we exist in the first place. Those people have a right to get on their trail system. Now, having said that, it needs to be done responsibly. Now, we do teach our riders, of course, how to operate it safely, how to operate it properly. We do talk about trail etiquette, but not being permitted on a trail system as an outfitter, as we were, makes that much more difficult. And this is where we kind of get into the weeds a little bit. Now, we were permitted for many years until COVID hit. And of course, as we all know, everything went haywire with COVID. And permits were taken away. It wasn't just us, it was others as well. It were difficult and crazy times, right? Nobody knew what the hell was going on. So, any rate, we end up without a permit. Next thing you know, we're just a rental company. It's like, here's the machine, truck and trailer, go do your thing. Wherever you want to ride, you can ride to. It's, it's all up to you where you go. Go to private property, go to a trail system, take it out of state, doesn't really matter. Take it down the street and just stare at it for 3 hours, doesn't matter to us, right? And we still tried to do what we used to do on the trail. And what we used to do on the trail was, we talk about the safety side of it, proper operation, but trail etiquette, and having those people on the trail right there with us. They took it seriously because the trail's right there. They're going to be jumping that machine in a matter of minutes, and they're going to be going. And now they're looking at it, and it's reality to them. Because some people, they come and they don't understand, really, they can't picture in their mind. Some of them just think it's just a flat, easy dirt road. When they see some rocks in front of them, they're like, oh, wow, okay, we need to take this serious. We're really here. We're really getting ready to do this. And being a person on the trail with them, you're kind of a guide. Or you are a guide. In some cases, you guide them out. And so you can control that ride. And that way the people learn how to do it respectfully, and in the right way. Now, granted, there's going to be people that don't. There's people that buy machines that don't do it that way. There's people that rent machines that don't do it that way. I hate dealing with those customers. I hope we don't get them. We try and filter them out, but every now and then they poke through and they get out there and they ride irresponsibly and they piss some people off, and that sucks. I wish I could run out there, ring them around the neck, and get them out of the machine and stop it from happening, but that's what's happening. And since we're not on the trail operating with a permit, I don't have that ability anymore. I used to be, we would go out and we would patrol the trail. We tell people how to operate it safely, all that stuff, the trail etiquette and everything, respecting others, blind corners, other riders, jeepers, slow down, horses come to a stop, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? And then we go out and then we patrol. We're out there with them, or we're guiding some of them, and we can stop that stuff from happening to some degree. And quite a bit, actually. But not being there now, that's not a possibility. So that sucks. And it just makes the situation even worse. Because now they're just going out and just doing whatever the hell they want. There's no control. That's the purpose of an ATV outfitter. That's why I believe that there should be if there's an ATV rental company out there, they should be permitted on a trail system somewhere. Not only so they're teaching their riders safety, proper operation, respect for the trail and other users of that trail, whatever recreation type it is they're doing, if it's hiking. But with a permit with the Forest Service, there's a certain level of responsibility you have to that trail system, maintaining it, cleaning it, making it good all the time. There's going to be people that are going to go off trail. It's going to be your riders. It's going to be local riders. It's going to be whoever. A camper who comes in and leaves the fire burning, their campfire burning. You're there to put that campfire out. We put out a number of campfires. In fact, we put out a whole forest fire once. That was a crazy day. We hadn't been there, the whole trail system would have burned down. There is a value there. There's a value there for not for any company though. It has to be a company with integrity. People, owners with integrity, who have a love for the trail system, the surrounding forest, and their recreation type, and the betterment of the sport responsibly. Now that's tricky to find. I think in this day and age, it doesn't matter what business you're in or what you're talking about. There's a certain percentage of people out there that are just not responsible human beings. That to them, the only thing that matters is money. I operated next to one of those, my competitor, for years, who operated like that. That's one of the reasons why our whole situation went south. He operated the exact opposite of myself. And it didn't matter what good I did. I do one thing good, he does two things bad. It just kept going backwards and backwards and backwards, right? Put a bad taste in everyone's mouth. It was irresponsible permitting is what it was. Two companies shouldn't have been permitted on that small trail system like that. I'm not going to get into the details on any of that stuff. I will just say that was irresponsible permitting for sure by the Forest Service. It was just not a smart move. And I think that that particular ranger district would admit to that. But it is what it is. that's how we change this. These are some of the ideas and ways that we change the sport. Change it to be more responsible and not so hated by everyone. I mean, it starts with us as human beings, of course, right? Being kind to one another, respectful of one another. It starts there. But where that's lacking in somebody, where they may not pay attention to that very much, being responsible and having respect for others, some people aren't capable of that on their own. And they need help, they need guidance. And that guidance comes from the top. And it starts with the manufacturers, it starts with the power sports dealers, and it starts with rental companies. And unfortunately, there's a lot of manufacturers out there, a lot of dealers, and a lot of rental companies that all don't operate responsibly. It's all just about the bottom line, making that money. So, that's my spiel for the night, and I hope that it hits home for people on both sides. If you don't live around a trail system or utilize OHV trail systems for anything, this might be all foreign information to you that really doesn't matter. But if you have used an OHV trail system at some point in time or another, you might be able to relate one side or the other. I'm trying to play the middle of the road here, and because I understand the sport isn't going to go away. Rental companies aren't going to go away. Manufacturers are still going to do other things. And power sports dealers are still going to be there. And this whole industry is going to continue to grow. There ain't no stopping that. The freight train is moving. It ain't stopping for nothing. It just, how nicely are those tracks laid down, to use an analogy, I guess. Are they all wonky and screwy where the train's going to derail? Or are we going to get in there and fix those tracks and make them nice and smooth so everything can be good? I know that's not the greatest analogy in the world, but you get my point, right? Some people don't have that responsibility, and they need it. They need it to be ingrained into them, and that comes down to us doing that. So, some people out there that are haters of this particular type of activity would probably like to say that everyone is irresponsible. The whole thing needs to go away. Piss on all UTV riders. Fuck them all. Sorry for my language, but I'm passionate about this kind of stuff. Well, obviously, that's not an attitude that's going to work out for anyone. And I understand why they might have that attitude, because they've had some bad experiences. I myself, even though I am a UTV rider and a dirt bike rider, I've had bad experiences. I've had somebody run me off the trail. Me and my wife were out driving one day in our 4x4 vehicle, going nice and slow in our Jeep, and we got run off the trail by a couple of ATVs just come ripping around the corner. And it was either get out of the way or let them smash into us and somebody would have got killed. So I, off the trail, went into a ditch, nearly tipped the Jeep over. That was bullshit. Those guys didn't even care. They were hooping and hollering, laughing, and just kept on going, flinging rocks and dirt everywhere. Bullshit, completely irresponsible. So I know, I've been on the other side of it. But that doesn't mean all of us riders out there are like that. Just like it doesn't mean that every camper out there is going to leave his campfire burning, which happens a lot. Just like not every Jeeper gets out there and hogs the whole road the whole time, and there's a line of dirt bikes and ATVs behind him going 2 miles an hour because this guy's an asshole. Not every Jeeper is like that. Not every Jeeper stops in the middle of the trail to sit there and look at the views, plugging up the whole trail for a half an hour so nobody can go by. I've seen that before. Not every Jeeper is like that. Not every hiker is out there throwing rocks at you just because they can't stand things with motors in it, because it's not environmentally friendly. You get your crazies in every sport. Now, unfortunately, when you have a machine that'll do 0 to 60 in 3 or 4 seconds, you're going to get a few more crazies who want to see what that power can do. And like I said, going back to the whole Polaris thing, their premier machine, the one they sell the most of, their sport machine, they've made it more trail friendly and geared it down so it's more for that type of use. And that's the way they're marketing it. And hopefully that starts to change the mindset a little bit. And since they are the biggest manufacturer in the world when it comes to power sports, UTV power sports, I think that's a big, bold move that's really good for the sport. And I think that a lot of us can follow that. And that's why I chose going back to this company. I invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in Can-Am and am now getting rid of that, and I've lost a lot of money because of it, because of my decision to go back to Polaris, because like I said, that main driving force was their integrity for responsible riding, and I hope that we can feed that down to some of our customers as well. But to make that encompass everyone, it requires the entire manufacturing industry and sales industry to change their marketing tactics as well. So, for what that matters for all of you, I hope that information helps. I hope it gives you a perspective from both sides, maybe, and that we need to work together to make this a better sport. It's not going away, so love one another, respect one another, and communicate of how it can be better. And that's what I try and do. That's what I hope for the future. So with that, you have a good night.